Before I start, I just want to say that Mirai is a character exclusive to the manga to the Hanako-kun. Other than the fact that you'll see what she looks like, I don't spoil anything. That's all, I just want to preface. Every year I sell my own Halloween costume, and even though I could be considered too old for that, I do it anyways because I believe you could never be too old for Halloween. I usually do a generic costume so everybody knows who I am, but this year I want to cosplay because I like anime and manga, and Mirai is cute, and it'll be worth it even though I have to explain to everyone who I am every time they ask. When I sew anything, I draw how I want each piece and figure out what details I want to add to the garment. This is especially important in Mirai's case, for she is only in one chapter, or I guess 2 chapters if you count like the 1 page she was in. In the chapter that Mirai is in, she seems to have 3 layers to her outfit. Since they are layered, I use my imagination to figure out what each piece looks like. I'll further explain this when I'm sewing. I measured my rib cage, chest, neck, shoulders next to the rib cage, and the rib cage to the length I want each layer. I usually have more measurements, however, since this is a pretty loose garment, I don't need all the measurements. Once I have those, I can then start making the patterns. So I actually don't like making patterns, and they take way too long to make, so here's snippets of me making them. Wow, there's light! Frick, I messed up. Oh no. Frick. Oh. These are all the patterns. First layer, and I can't find anything because I didn't organize it. First layer, and the sleeves, and second layer, and third layer, sleeve, and the hood. Yeah, nice. Starting with the first layer, I imagine it's a baby doll dress with layered ruffles in the skirt part, a ruffled collar, and puffy sleeves with frilly cuffs. Later on, I decided to change that to a regular sleeve up until the elbow and then flares out kind of like a bat wing. Since it's just a standard baby doll dress, most of the time I lined up the pieces I cut out from the pattern and sewed them together. I also cinched a bunch of fabric together to create ruffles. To create Mirai's collar, however, I had to cinch together 2 pieces of fabric at a diagonal and attach them to the collars of the dress towards each other like how Mirai has it. So my head doesn't get stuck in the collar, I did a loop closure in the back instead of zipper, that way I can just slip the dress over my head. It didn't come out as roughly as I wanted, so later on in alterations, I added an elastic around the rib cage. On the second layer, I sewed a jumper or a wrap jumper. I don't know what it's called, just it wraps around you, goes over something. I actually didn't record this part because I don't think that's that important considering the fact that I literally sewed together 3 pieces of fabric together and lined it and drew X's on it using fabric marker, and that's literally all I did. The last layer was pretty self-explanatory and easiest to figure out since it's the top layer, and I only had to think about my materials and the different angles of it. I don't need to explain what it looks like, because it's literally the thing you see most on Mirai, but I will say that when I was sewing it, I actually when I was cutting all the fabric out, I actually ran out of the blue fabric that I was using, so I ended up using a felt fabric that I already owned as the inner lining. I don't really mind this since I do plan on wearing this when I'm done with the cosplay. However, it kind of looked weird in the photos, and I was being very cautious about having a knot show, but you kind of saw it because it was, I wish that I measured it out more, but it's whatever. Once I got that all figured out, I put everything together, and the hood actually had darts in it, so I sewed them in too. Not gonna lie, this was my second time making a hood pattern, and all I remember from the first time is that it was bad, and I never made another hood pattern up until now, because I like being a pretty dress and the frilly skirts better. But when the edge of the hood and the darts actually lined up with the middle and the edge of the rest of the cloak, I was super impressed, and I tried on the hood and it actually fit me, and it felt amazing. I felt like I did something right. Anyways, I did that to the inner lining as well, except I just switched up the fabric between the inner and outer fabric on the places that show on the outside, like the hood and where the cloak opens. But once I did that, I laid the two good side to good side and sewed around, only leaving the sleeves open so I could flip it right side out, and once I had it flipped, I just hemmed the sleeves. Now that I was pretty much done with the layers, all I do was alter some things, clean them up, press them, and add the final touches to the cloak. For the final touches, I sewed some things by hand, like the snap closures and tassels, and tied these fancy frog things for the cloak. I don't know what they're called, but they look like frog closures, except they're not closures. This isn't sewing, so we don't care about this, but I basically cut and glued together a bunch of cardboard, paper mached it, painted it, glued everything together, and added a chain and shoe lines to crown. And that's the final product. I do wish that I calculated the amount of fabric that I needed correctly. Also, I didn't actually want to bring this up, but the back of the cloak is longer than the front of the cloak, and that has to do with the way I hemmed it. So I do wish that I fixed those things, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think I did Mirai justice. Don't want to get ahead of myself though. Yeah. Hello, I am Mia. I should have introduced myself in the beginning because I know a lot of people, including myself sometimes, skip the M card, but you know, I didn't realize until just now that I didn't write my name anywhere in the script. So, right now will do. This video was actually supposed to come out in October 31st specifically, on Halloween. But I actually accidentally deleted the original footage because I forgot that duplicates were just duplicates when I transferred it onto the external drive. So yeah, that kind of happened. But it's alright, I just re-edited the entire thing and it totally didn't take so long because I had school. But yeah. I'll do an introduction video. I was actually thinking of doing an introduction video before this one since I was like, well, Halloween's way past, so I might as well just do the introduction video. But I was just so determined to finish this video that I just was like, I'll upload the introduction video after this video, Yeah, and here, that's where we are. Anyways, if you want to see the better quality photos of the costume or the cosplay, then you can go to the Instagram miki.sewing, where you see all my sewing projects and such. And I also have an art account called miki.kuropi, kind of like this channel name. And if you want more sewing content, you can subscribe. If you want. Yeah, bye.